The navigation screen on the bridge did not just flicker. It breathed. A rhythmic, golden pulse radiated from the center of the display, casting long, shifting shadows across the faces of Aplina, Luna, Nyx, Vamp, and Serena. The signal was not a standard distress call. It was a heartbeat, deep and insistent, vibrating through the deck plates. Luna leaned over the console, her fingers dancing across the interface. The coordinate was locked in a sector of space previously marked as empty void. Aplina gripped the edge of the navigation table, her knuckles white. The air on the bridge grew heavy, charged with a static of 1,000 unseen currents. Serena checked the fuel levels, her eyes darting between the monitors. There was no time for a full diagnostic. The signal was fading, pulling away into the dark. Luna slammed her palm onto the engagement sequence. "Locking trajectory now," she commanded. The engines roared to life, a low-frequency hum that rattled the teeth of everyone on board. With a violent lurch, the ship tore through the fabric of the silent void, leaving the familiar stars behind in a streak of blinding white light. The descent was turbulent. The ship shook as it punched through the thick, golden-brown clouds, the hull groaning under the pressure of an atmosphere that felt unusually dense. Luna gripped the flight controls, her eyes fixed on the proximity sensors. As the planet expanded to fill the entire viewport, the surface rushed up to meet them, a vast, textured expanse that defied standard geological mapping. With a jarring thud, the landing gear made contact. The ship did not settle on solid rock or soft soil. Instead, it sank slightly into a granular, shifting layer that gave way with a distinct, dry crunching sound. The engines cut out, leaving a ringing silence in the cabin. Aplina unbuckled her harness and moved toward the airlock, the others trailing close behind. The ramp hissed open, and the smell hit them first, a dry, toasted aroma that filled the airlock. They stepped out onto the surface, their boots sinking inches deep into a landscape that felt exactly like walking on toasted sesame seeds. The ground shifted under their weight. The group moved away from the ship, their boots leaving deep, shifting tracks in the granular soil. Ahead, a cluster of shrubs stood in the dim light, their leaves wide, flat, and green, resembling oversized heads of lettuce. Aplina reached out to touch a leaf, finding the texture waxy and firm. Vamp pushed past her, his attention caught by a round, dense object. It looked like a fruit, but its surface was browned and textured, smelling faintly of charcoal and salt. He plucked it from the stem. Without a word, he took a large bite. His jaw stopped mid-chew. He froze, his eyes widening as he stared at the half-eaten object. He chewed slowly, his throat working hard to swallow. A piece of gristle caught in his teeth, and he spat it out onto the ground. "It is real beef," he muttered, his voice trembling with a mix of terror and disbelief. He looked at the bush, then at the others. The silence that followed was absolute. They stood in the middle of the field, the reality of the planet sinking in with every breath. The group pushed deeper into the valley, their boots crunching rhythmically against the bun-like soil. The terrain sloped downward until they reached a ridge overlooking a thick, red river that wound through the center of the landscape. It flowed with a viscous, heavy motion, steaming slightly in the cool air. Nyx knelt by the bank, her fingers trembling as she dipped them into the dark red liquid. She brought her hand to her mouth and tasted it. "Ketchup," she announced, her voice flat with shock. She wiped her hand against her leg, staring at the river as it pulsed toward the horizon. Back at the ship, Luna tapped rapidly on her tablet, her face illuminated by the glow of the data stream. She analyzed the core samples, her eyes widening as the results populated the screen. The planet possessed a regenerative ecosystem, fueled by a core that mimicked Earth but operated on a cycle of infinite organic growth. The scale of the edible wilderness was overwhelming, a self-sustaining feast that stretched as far as the eye could see. The group gathered around a small fire, the flames licking at the air while the ketchup stream flowed steadily toward the darkening horizon. Luna pulled her tablet from her pack, her fingers tapping the screen to finalize the planetary survey. She looked at her companions, then back at the vast, edible wilderness stretching into the night. "I have decided," Luna said, pointing to the map on her display. "We shall call this place Burgeria Prime." A quiet sense of resolution settled over them. They unrolled their sleeping bags onto the soft, bun-like soil and climbed inside. The hum of the planet was rhythmic, a low vibration that traveled through the ground. As they drifted towards sleep, the earth beneath them shifted. Tiny green shoots pushed through the crust, unfurling into fresh, savory snacks under the moonlight.